All right, ladies and gentlemen, it took us a minute to get everything situated, but we are ready to go. We've got Doni The Don, the Constitutionalist, with us, and Nicco will be joining us a little bit later. Aquarian Anarchy coming at you. All right, so if you know the show, you know we couldn't come out with someone whose name is the Constitutionalist and not bring Lysander Spooner into the conversation right off the bat. But whether the Constitution really be one thing or another, this much is certain that it has either authorized such a government as we have had or has been powerless to prevent it. In either case, it is unfit to exist. Now, I know that's not necessarily gonna sit well with Donnie, but we're here to have that conversation. And first of all, before we get into that, because that's a sort of a contentious way to start the show, I want to give you your flowers. I've really been enjoying picking up what you've been putting down, because it's you really gave it to, especially, like, was it last night or night before last, the show that you did where you just, like, you eviscerated Nixon and Reagan and the whole drug war and everything. Yes. Like, that was dope. I loved it, and so really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. Welcome. How you been?
Thank you. I've been good. I don't know if you saw this morning, but I was getting into it again. I'm pretty good at getting into it, people. I just have this thing where I'm gonna just dive right into it, I guess. I have this thing where, conservatives, I've noticed them posting a lot of black people committing crimes all the time, and it's just like that is the same thing that the left does when they show cops shooting black people all the time. It's by design, and it's a divide. And if you fall for it, that's what they want, and you come off looking pretty racist if you say certain things and start attacking all blacks. Because I get it, humans can suck, but that means that's humans. But they purposely put certain things in front of us so that we're divided and we think a particular way. So that's the beef I had first thing this morning. With actually someone I thought was my friend, but I couldn't sit back and just let them say what they said, because, like, not all blacks are the same. So I'm not saying all white people are the same. It's like, or I don't know. I think the grown up thing is to put the blame on who's ever doing the actions, than to put a whole group in one bubble.
Everyone together. Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. And to be clear, usually it's the state that does it.
Yeah. So collectivism is definitely a device of the state. I thought, because I saw something. Sonny Johnson was going in on somebody about, they were talking about how, what do you suggest we do with, to try to get some of these places turned red. Anyway, they were spouting some nonsense, and she said, well, you start with this, and this, and you maybe stop. Remove all the gun restrictions in the black community so that people can defend themselves. And they're like, how are we supposed to do that in a blue area? And she's like, oh, really? Okay, so this is what happened. And then, so of course, it always goes back to this making excuses, and there's not that, as she says, conservatism equally applied, where you have, free market economics, the ability to defend yourself with the right to bear arms, all this stuff, like that goes away when we get into the hood. Now it's like we're going to have all this, like you said, people sharing videos of people doing some nut shit that doesn't apply to everyone, right? And is actually more of a reason to let the people who are suffering in that have more freedom to take care of themselves, defend themselves, and isolate or insulate themselves from that.
It's funny you brought that up, because it's crazy, because you hear different Republican pundits. They say, why did you run in this district? You weren't going to win. Why would you even run in that area if you're not going to win? Here's the thing. They don't even go to those areas. They don't outreach them. They don't talk to them. So how do you think you're going to win someone over if you don't go and talk to them? But that's okay. That's okay. We're going to take them with independence, and we'll go talk to them. And we're not afraid to have these conversations with people. Republican Party, you missed the ball. People are frustrated with the Democrat Party. They're politically homeless, and they're looking for somewhere to go. And so, honestly, I think the elections are full of shit anyways, based off of what I've been seeing for these past few years.
And how are you not an
No.
anarchist?
Okay, my number one reason is justice. My whole question is with the anarchists is how does someone get justice? So, you guys know who Hard Hat is?
I don't know the name.
Hard Hat Beast. He shows a lot of really good videos, and he's anti-government himself.
Mhm.
He came on my show once. We talked about this. My one question, I'm like, well, they say that Tom wanted Jerry's land, and Tom accused Jerry of doing a heinous crime and shot him. Where's the justice for Jerry? And I'm like, so if there's no court system or anything like that, I don't trust our current court system. But how with the no government, how are we going to hold those people accountable if they break the law? That's where I'm stuck at with not being an anarchist.
Sure.
Yeah.
Chad, you want to get this? Nicco, you want to get this? Or would you guys like me to take
Can
it?
you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, we
can
hear you,
Nicco.
Nicco.
I'm so
Welcome,
sorry.
Nicco, by the way.
Yeah,
Hi,
for
Nicco.
sure.
Nice to meet you.
You turned out to not even be late. Like you came in like as the open was finishing, so like it was
For sure.
perfect.
Yeah, well, I apologize for being late. I was running on negative time, but it's not my fault because we're a part of it. But nonetheless, I personally believe when an evil or an injustice is done, there's always going to be a repercussion to that, even if like you get away scot-free. But it's either in the mental or physical. Now, when we get to the physical, it could be the community that takes charge. Just like back in the day, and I love bringing this up, but like back in the day when people had like old Western, I wish you would go into a saloon and start some shit because everybody's going to cap your ass if you try it. And I think it's more so of a community thing, or if not, if it's like an injustice done to an individual and that person is caught, then whoever they wronged, the family or the last name or whoever is closest to that individual should be able to determine the punishment for their sorrow, because you don't get to take an eye and then be okay with it, especially when we're all agreeing to be in this place and being communicative in a sense.
Well, there's also a way of like private arbitration and a way to focus more on justice and on restorative justice rather than punitive justice that I think is important. But one of the things I wanted to say with this is it's always interesting to anarchists, to those of us who see the government as this evil band of criminals that uses this we're all in this together social contract. We're all, part of this system because what? I don't know. Like I didn't sign shit. I didn't agree to this. Like I didn't agree that, back to the thing about land, like we don't even own the land. The government owns the land. If you don't pay your property taxes, they're just going to take your shit, including everything that's in it. Over $250, they can take everything you own. It's pretty insane. And so what we as anarchists tend to run into a lot of times is the kind of the complaints come from this place of it'll be something like, well, yeah, but what about, you're just gonna have rapists and murderers running around free. I'm like, we got rapists and murderers running around free right now.
Yeah.
I want the ability to protect myself, and I want to have more freedom to do what I want to do on my own property, to without having to go get permits and licenses and all this other kind of nonsense that they create. I was just talking to somebody at work today that his father-in-law died, and there's like a $200,000 trust or something like that they're trying to get unlocked, and they sent a $200,000 check to the mailbox of the house that is currently unoccupied because he's dead. He doesn't live there anymore. No one lives there.
Wow.
And it's in his name too. He's dead. No one can do anything with it. And so they're like, this is not, this is useless to his family. It needs to be something where we can do something with it. And they're like, sorry, that's all we can do. And I'm convinced this is all some little game that they play so that lawyers can come and say, it's okay for $5,000 or $12,000 or whatever it is.
They're all in bed together.
They are. We'll take care of this for you. You're getting $200K. So what's 10 grand in my pocket? You'll still get 190, and it's like, no, I don't care what it is. It's not yours. Right. And it shouldn't be this complicated to get it worked out to where the family members who can prove that that's who they are have to go through all this nonsense. So that I think, and Marcus, I'll let you kind of finish it off with a
Sure.
little more detail about like maybe the private justice system.
Sure. And to first of all, I want people to understand that Donnie agrees. Well, I've been following her for some time. She agrees with 90% of what we talk about. There are very small differences. We kind of launched into one of the differences right here at the beginning, but I want to kind of cite sources first. The best explanation I've ever seen to how this works, though Walter Block does a good job as well, but the best I've ever seen was in Ethics of Liberty by Murray Rothbard. And he goes into great detail about how you can establish a private security system or law enforcement system. And it becomes voluntary and community-based, and it is almost never involved with force. The number one thing that I want to add to what these two gentlemen have mentioned is that what we are currently dealing with is, if let's say you are arrested for some reason, right? Let's say you stole from somebody. What they're going to do is they're going to come to you, they're going to throw you in a cage, and they're going to fine you, let's say $6,000 for the $25 that you
sounds
stole.
like kidnapping and a ransom.
Right. And
There you go.
exactly. And that money's not going to go to the family, it's going to go to the state. If how an anarchist would solve this problem with, we get everybody together, we go get you, and you pay that $25 back to the person that you stole from. Now that could be you pay them with money, or you pay them with work, or you pay them with a piece of your ass knocked out by the 6 guys that came and got you. All right, and obviously I'm not going to hit you because I don't hit girls, but but you get my point. This is a really big subject.
You farm that out to a woman to hit the woman for you.
Right. We'd hire.
I don't know. I don't know. Some women need something.
Yeah.
Not to be beating women, but some women be hitting men. I mean, you ask for it.
Man.
Everybody has.
Everyone has a right to defend themselves. Just saying.
So it's a crazy, weird double standard for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Your right to defend yourself doesn't stop because it's a woman. Just saying.
You get a hot pot of grits. Like, how does that work?
Nicco, your mic is messed up too, bro.
Oh, well, hold on. Let me.
Man, us black people mics all jacked up today.
It's an 11 day. It's an 11 day. Don't blame black people.
It's an 11 day. He always wants to blame it on astrology or numerology or some shit.
Hey, I think I'm 3 for 3 right now. I'm 3 for 3.
So
You're 3 for 3.
being that we live to kind of cast this back at you, Donnie, with the system that we currently have based on the Constitution, which I realize that most of law enforcement is actually handled by the states. I get it. But it's been an abysmal failure at doing anything about law. What would you suggest is a better way of doing it? What would your way, or what would you say is the best way to deal with law enforcement?
Honestly, they're not trained to enforce the Constitution. They're trained to make money. They're trained to create criminals. They're just to enforce the unconstitutional laws that are put in place in the first place. And you're not going to have a good relationship with the police department if that's their goal. It's never going to happen. People say there's a good cop or bad cop. They may be good people when they're not in a uniform, perhaps, but like if you're enforcing unconstitutional laws, then you are breaking your oath. And so, no. If you honestly, too, when the Constitution and the government was put in place, there weren't police. The first form of police we had were sheriff departments, and they were elected. And where we have these police departments, they're not elected, and they're appointed by these most of the time the city manager. Not even your elected officials. It's your city manager appointing who this police chief is. And so it's a big money machine. Honestly, they had to keep on creating these crimes. There has to be these quotas met. The DAs, the prosecutors, they're always looking for some kind of win rates or conviction rate. It should not be about a conviction rate. It's supposed to be about justice. And so that's where the system is really broken at there. So, and we have a lot of police officers out here. You guys if the thing is, if you really care, you want to be a good cop, you should read the Constitution. You should know that a lot of you are breaking the law when it comes to the Constitution. Extortion is illegal. You can't try to get someone a ticket for something, or you have to have a warrant to go through someone's car. If you smell some skunky smell in their car, you do not have the authority to go through their vehicle without a warrant. With anarchist stuff, it's not like you can skip all that, and it sounds like a lot easier. You have to deal with all these different steps. But in order to fix the problem why we have this issue now, I honestly think that we're going to have to clean house in these departments. People are going to have to train with their Constitution, and you can't just run it the way they're doing it. United States is supposed to be the most free country in the world, and we have the highest incarceration rate across the globe. Across the globe, everyone talks about how bad China is, about Russia is, all these other places, but we have more people locked up in our country than any other country, and then they're slaves. 13th Amendment, and in slavery, unless you're a criminal.
Indentured servitude for committing a crime. Yeah, that's right.
And that wasn't the intention when it was written. People took advantage of it. I see that part where the quote that was said earlier where there's flaws, and that's a flaw there because they have created unconstitutional laws and they're enforcing them and using them to put people away. You should not be put away for victimless crimes. You should not be put away if no property was damaged, no one's killed. You shouldn't be put away for a lot of reasons. The natural herbs that grow from the land, you get arrested for, but you have these pharmaceutical companies that are forcing their drugs down your throat, and those are man-made. It's just insane to me how it operates, and people are just so complacent and so, I guess, used to, what is the word I'm looking for?
They've been desensitized to it, and conditioned to just accept it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the thing about what was really disappointing as like the marijuana legalization debate really heated up over the last decade or so was that even people like Marcus and I are both like libertarians. Like we've been to national conventions and everything. There were the libertarian presidential candidate in 2012, Gary Johnson, wanted to legalize marijuana, but tax it and regulate it. I'm like, whoa. Because now what you've done, and you're seeing this in all the places where it's becoming legal, is they let all these corporations get their little shit set up to where now they are the authorized distributors, manufacturers, whatever you want, growers.
And they also choose
and it's still, and the regulation is you still can't grow it in your backyard.
Yeah.
It should have never been. It should have never
think about it,
been illegal in the first place. And it needs to be decriminalized. Period.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. The other part of it too is if they don't decriminalize it, you still have all these people who are sitting in jail for maybe a couple of dime bags or something, where it's some BS.
For sure. And to go back to the Constitution and what you said about it, that it's flawed. The thing is, Madison said in one of the Federalists, I don't remember which Federalist paper, that the reason that they wanted the amendment structure the way that it was is because they wanted to be able to change it. And they wanted to be able to fix it because they knew that shit changes over time. And they wanted the ability to go in, but they also wanted it to be extremely difficult. So, a lot of the people who frame the Constitution, me personally, I agree with Spooner. I think it has been ineffectual and basically a worthless document, aside from the fact that it gives people the illusion that they have freedom. But that doesn't mean the principles are not founded. That doesn't mean that the people who believe that they were trying to pull back from a king who had pretty much absolute power we're not onto something. It was a step along the way.
Well,
what I would argue is it's time to take a few more steps.
Yeah, and I would say too, one of the things. Let me play devil's advocate to that and to the other side of belief in the Constitution. If you read the Patriot Report, damn, I swear I'm not drunk, people. The Patriot Report by our good friend Hotep Jesus.
Indeed.
And you look at the history, the 500 or so year history before that, before the creation of the United States, of the history of war and money, and how the powers that be manufactured crises and manufactured these new little bubbling governments and their big governmental documents. I would suggest, or at least submit for consideration, that the Constitution, not so much a document built to keep us free, is a document built as a weapon by our enemies to create like the ways to make some of the things, make loopholes for themselves, and also to create the means by which we could be shackled. And then what I think it serves for us to kind of poop on Spooner a little bit is it does exist. It is used against us, but it is a weapon that we can wield right back against our enemies. And that's what I liked about what Donnie was doing the other night when she was going in on Nixon and Reagan and everything. It's like, no, look, these motherfuckers need to be brought up on treason charges. And maybe some of them need the death penalty because some of these people have gotten people killed over this shit.
Oh, I want all of them to get the death penalty. The crime for treason is death, and they need to hang. I'm sorry, like they're gonna keep doing it if there's no consequences. So,
I mean,
but yeah, they all need
a prison, like
nope treason. Mm-mm. They've been stealing from people for a long time. Listen to this. You think someone deserves to live? Okay. They are trying to fund a war. They get cocaine and crack, bring it into the black community of South California, and then turn around and their whistleblower is the CIA, the people who are actually the drug dealers, selling it to the community, and then takes all your shit and locks you up.
Right.
I'm like, and then people are dying. People are from this drugs. People are the community is getting worse. It's getting crazy, and you're blaming the people, and you're putting them away forever, and you're setting them up and taking all their shit after y'all gave them hope. You're like, man, y'all can make some money with this stuff right here. Y'all gave them a little bit of hope, and then you set them up, and you're just making money off of it. You make money off those drugs. You're making money off locking them up too. And how long have the people been in prison, in jail, maybe have died in there because of that? That's treason. You took someone else's liberty away, their freedom away. You need to lose yours too.
For sure.
Well,
and real quick, Chad,
Yeah,
just
ahead.
to caveat on that real quick. And it's not just what you're talking about is when the CIA introduced crack. It's not just crack. They did the same thing to a bunch of fucking rednecks in Indiana by introducing meth.
Meth.
They're doing the
I'm
same
from Indiana.
fucking thing. Oh, are you? Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
live
started
in
to see that. I left. I went to Texas.
Nice.
Where about in
Exactly
Texas
what
are
I'm
you?
I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay, all right. I'm
It
in
sucks.
I'm in Orange, Texas right now. I'm in just over the border from Louisiana, like right
Wait,
off
did
I-10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you just say Texas sucks? Where
It
you're at?
does suck, actually. Over
really
here,
hot.
definitely.
It's just hot as hell, and it's not as red as people make it out to be.
No, it's
There's
terrible.
a lot of statists, a lot of back the blue kind of weirdo nonsense
I
over
was
here.
getting my hopes up to leave Chicago, like Texas. I heard
No. I would consider looking at these different states with more freedom, like Wisconsin, not Wyoming, Montana, South Dakota, Tennessee, Kentucky. Look at places that don't have state income tax as well. Texas is one of those places. It's one of them, but it's
Property
expensive.
taxes are high too, though, in Texas.
It's so high. Listen,
Yeah.
I moved down here in 2008, $525 a month for one bedroom in North Dallas. Now you can barely get that for $1,000, and the places aren't getting nicer. So the Greg Abbott's crazy. He's got all these people moving over here. He has our Texas Constitution actually gives him authority to call the militia when there's an invasion. And he's been in office for 26 years as with Attorney General for Texas, a judge, and now governor, and doesn't know his power. This is intentional. Both parties want this to happen. I want both parties to be abolished anyways, because they're both responsible for a lot of things that happen in this nation. I think that's where we're going to find all our gold. Everything that's been stolen from us is going to be in these old parties that have been around forever. Democrats have been around for 100 and almost 200 years. Republicans 174 years. And we're still having people going back and forth. Oh, if you don't vote Republican, you're taking votes from me. I'm like, bitch, you're taking my liberty by voting for Republicans. I mean, I don't understand. It's just like, and there's 43% of the population are independents. Only 27% are Democrats, 27 Republicans. So who's taking whose votes away?
So it was the 2016 election. The plurality would have been people who voted for neither Trump nor Hillary if all registered voters had actually voted, or if you counted the people who didn't vote
as
versus as
77 million people.
It would have been a plurality that didn't vote for any of them, and if that were the criteria, back to Spooner, because he talks about how like why is voting somehow this like endorsement of the system. Well, if that's the case, then the people who don't vote, that should nullify the system. If a plurality of people don't vote, then the system's over. We get to start over again. And I like how you start your show off with that reading of the
Declaration of Independence.
Declaration of Independence, where it talks about it gives everybody the blueprint. And I don't think enough people pay attention to that part where I tell everybody on July 4th, I'm like, Happy Treason Day, everybody. It's time to get treasonous. Let's flip the table over.
I literally made a recording about that because I was just like, how can people sit here and literally be celebrating Independence Day and we're a bunch of Tories and loyalists? Like, you guys are complying with the government. You guys went put your mask on. You were locked down. We let them shut down businesses. We let them tell us if you weren't vaccinated, you lose your job. We let them do a lot of things. And the Patriots wouldn't have did that. Patriots we're gonna first of all, you pissed us off. You beat up my friends in the street. We're gonna go and then throw your tea into the harbor. We're gonna go and tar and feather people.
Yeah, that's right. That's
like we're gonna fuck some shit up. And then it's like, oh, okay, so we don't have enough ammunition. Oh, we got your ammunition. Oh, we're gonna sneak it and put your outfits on and go steal your ammunition. Like they weren't playing. I really like Samuel Adams. I understand some people are like, the founding fathers just finished. And I said, I get that no one's perfect. None of these people are perfect. They even said a lot of times, you actually read some of their other works too, that they're not perfect. They were all trying to come together and figure out what the best solution was. And I think one of our issues now is we don't have rich people on our side, like real rich people on our side, like they did. Like Franklin was rich, John Hancock was rich. Like they had some kind of funding going on there then, but don't have rich friends in this era. And people may try to say Trump is a rich friend. I'm like, I was fooled. I don't think so, you guys. His endorsements say a lot to me that he's not for the people. I went back and watched his videos. He's anti-Second Amendment, anti-First Amendment. He's just, oh, by the way, he thinks that drug dealers should get the death penalty. I did tag him on Truth Social, and I said, hey, I saw where you said that drug dealers should get the death penalty. Does that include the government? I'm just checking.
Right.
Like,
Does he include himself? He was selling Moderna and Pfizer and everything.
Right, for sure.
Operation Warp Speed makes him a drug dealer, doesn't it?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah,
It's when people get all excited about him and DeSantis, I'm like, you guys said do not cheat. Y'all are still manipulated by the media. You're only paying attention who they're talking about. DeSantis, y'all weren't talking about him when he's in Congress. All of a sudden, the media made him a darling. They go, well, they're attacking him all the time. They're attacking him with things you want to hear. Duh, it's a game. Like it wants you to think that you thought on your own that you want to support DeSantis. You didn't support DeSantis because you went to. The media told you to. He's got all this attention. So, and then the thing is too is like, oh, who's going to be the primary for Republican Party? You're only talking about Trump and DeSantis, so that's what people are going to be voting for. Honestly, I think Kristi Noem is the best option out of the whole Republican Party. If you're going to pick a governor, she didn't shut down her state. She didn't have red flag laws like Florida does. And she tries her best to be as constitutional. Is she right about it all the time? No, but you can tell she's trying to be right about it. But if you're going to have someone run for president, make sure it wasn't one with red flag laws or doesn't support them. My goodness, you guys attacked Dr. Oz and Democrats for saying the same thing. It's like you want communism or socialism, but it's okay if it's in a red bow or in a blue bow. Right. It just depends on who's saying it.
Again, I'm with Hotep Jesus.
Marcus makes those memes all the time. He's like, brown? We doing brown shirts? We doing red shirts?
Right.
or is it thin blue line? What color is your communism?
Right, for sure. Because I'm with Hotep Jesus with this. We've had a communist government since the beginning, from the beginning. And well, you might be able to say not with the Articles of Confederation, because before the Constitution was the Articles of Confederation.
I think back then we were more like what Mexico is now.
Right.
Where like it's kind of communist, but it's also kind of impossible to enforce because there's so many people spread out and they don't have the infrastructure to be able to really enforce it. So they leave the farmers and the random people who like have their own little avocado stand on the side of the road. They let them just do whatever the hell they want.
But don't the cartel actually run them though? Isn't that like work?
Parts of it. I mean,
cartel runs this bitch too.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. That's another reason why I need to get out of Texas, man. Gotta go.
Yeah.
Y'all let them cross. All these people cross over here. They're over here drinking and driving and hitting people.
To be honest, though, like the government has always been a cartel. Like it's other than just, oh well, we run you guys' lives, but they supply and then fund, and then when you do something wrong, well then you're dead. Or they'll just take something from you that's important, or, starve you out, burn your own food, make you go against each other for the absolute wrong reasons. The simple things government does.
So I have one more. I have not one more, but I have a question. I have about foreign stuff. So what about the foreign countries if they were to come over here and try to take us on? I think that was the goal of the militias in all the different states. So when the foreign power does come, we come together and take them on. So with how we are now, if we were to switch over to an anarchist system, how would that work?
I got this one.
Yeah,
I was the press secretary for Adam Kokesh, who ran for president of the United States as a libertarian. We got 4th place, I think, in the Libertarian Party.
In the first
round. And our platform was the peaceful dissolution of the federal government. I've heard this question 4,652 times. The answer to your question is, if the American people, with all of our firearms, with all of our weaponry, because all the things that the United States owns doesn't go away tomorrow. It doesn't we don't just say, okay, we don't have any battleships anymore. Okay, we don't have any more tanks. That doesn't happen. No, we were going to divvy up everything that could be used for defensive purposes to all of the states. So you're going to have all this shit because it's like when people ask about the roads, the roads exist. All this weaponry exists.
And even if the roads didn't exist, we can figure out how to make flat shit be on the ground so you can drive on it. That's what they did before they made like all of the paved roads that you see, maybe with the exception of like some interstates and some of these loops that they created, recently or anything like that. Most of the roads that you see that go to properties and things like that, those already existed, and they just paved over the dirt patches where people had been riding their horses and buggies and all that other shit to begin with. So anyway, continue.
So
but let me add on at the end because I have something as well.
Sure. So basically, what we would say to the world is, the American people just said, we will not be governed. We are free. And we said it together in a loud voice. Good luck. If you think for 1 second that you can come, when we have all the weapons, you can come into this country and just kick us out. When we just told the largest empire that has ever existed to go fuck itself, there isn't a single government, including China, that would have the balls to stand up to us. Beyond that, one other caveat, we are an economic powerhouse now. Imagine when the free market takes full control of this country and you don't have government interfering and stealing money from people, they're going to want a piece of our pie. They're going to want a piece of all of that, and you don't get it by conquering. So the two answers really are, but you can't, but you can't, and we have more money than you do.
Yeah.
So Chad, you wanted to add?
Well, yeah, just one thing. So like to just to bring that home is look at when we have, even this military, when it has gone and tried to do what it's done in Afghanistan and Iraq. I mean, now we putting all questions aside, conspiracy theories and everything, which I agree with, that all that shit was a charade, and it was a lot of that stuff was done on purpose to perpetuate some big contracts with oil companies and like KBR, whatever it is, Halliburton. That's it. Kellogg, Brown and Root, Halliburton, all the same thing. Anyway, there's a lot of money that was changing hands, and then let's not forget the opium industry with Afghanistan and like there's so much of that you go back to what led to Vietnam. There's the same thing, but look at Vietnam, look at Afghanistan, look at Iraq, and look at what a bunch of crazy barefoot people who grab weapons and start shooting back can do to push back. You don't think all these rednecks who have an arsenal in their in 3 different safes in their house in East Texas are going to be able to strike a little bit of fear into people? Because it's one thing to nuke the United States. It's another thing altogether to strategically take over the United States and all the individual people who aren't going to stand for it. And good luck dealing with that insurrection.
They can't control Chicago. They are not going to get the rest of us.
I would like to say that our police system is ass out here. And 2, there's a whole bunch of I know illiterate is usually for reading, but I'm going to just say it for the sake of this purpose. There's a whole bunch of illiterate people out here, and they don't know how to use their brains. And when you give people guns and a whole bunch of drugs, and they're illiterate, what's going to happen? A whole bunch of riots, and especially if there's nothing going to be changed about it. We can send all the money in the world to this place, and if there's no proper guidance, Illinois is going to stay this way. Granted, we do bring in a lot of money. I will say that.
But Nicco, aren't we already doped up on whatever drugs they're taking from their pharmacists, their doctors now, and they already have weapons? Maybe if they start doing natural things, maybe they'll be a bit better off. Maybe it won't be so crazy.
But try and get people off the hot fries, and they'll probably shoot you. Try and tell somebody, hey, Brody, them painkillers killing you. Fuck you, I'm gonna take them. People just don't care anymore. People genuinely want.
But don't give them guns.
Yeah, don't give
Put
them
them on the front line. I'm just saying.
Well,
my God.
isn't that the responsibility of the gun salesperson? Isn't that the person that should responsibly, know their customer? I don't agree with the government telling me I can't buy a gun, but I damn sure fully endorse a gun gun store saying, you kind of crazy. You don't get a gun. Not for you.
I was having a conversation like that at the hotel that I'm at. They were talking about how, I don't remember what we were talking about, but they were saying something about me. They're like, no, we know you're not going to do any stupid shit or anything like that. I was like, how do you know? And they're like, we can tell. We've been doing this long enough. We can see when there's people coming in and they claim that somebody held them up in the stairwell or something. And then as soon as we say we're going to call the police to file a report or whatever, they're like, nah, you don't have to do that. That's not, because what they're doing is they want you to I don't know what they wanted them to do, give them money or give them a free night's room to apologize or what, but they're scammers, And so they're like, oh, okay, we know how to deal with you. We're just going to say that, oh, well, then let's call the police and fill out a report. They're like, no, we don't need to fill out any report. And so they change their tune altogether. The people who do this stuff all the time for a living, they know, and so some of it you got to be kind of looking the other way, if you're giving off to that stuff.
Sure. So we've got about 15 minutes, and one of the things that I enjoy about your content is the way that you believe in the Constitution. There's nothing wrong with that. One of my heroes is Ron Paul, and he was definitely a constitutionalist. And again, I give credit. I love a lot of the founding fathers. I find a lot of inspiration in Jefferson and in Washington. Now I prefer the anti-federalists, I like Patrick Henry. I like all of them, but
T-Pain.
Yeah, right. Thomas Paine and the like. Those are my folk. And just to put you on to somebody that you should check out, I did a video on him if you want to check it out. One of the people that you should know about is a guy named shoot, Thomas. Shoot, my Thomas Young. Sorry, my
Yeah.
brain froze for a second.
I was going to say
Thomas,
Ethan Allen, but that's not the right one.
yeah,
Anyway,
Ethan
Thomas
Allen's
Young.
cool too, but you should check out Thomas Young because he was the reason we have a country really is the combination of two Thomases, and that's Thomas Paine and Thomas Young. Because without the two of them, we wouldn't have a country. And you can watch my videos if anybody wants to know and find out why. But I also wrote articles and all of that. But so I like your content. I like the way that you found yourself in the that kind of philosophy with that. But you also say, but this is fucked up here, this is fucked up here, and this is how we can solve that.
So, take no prisoners. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, for sure. And so tell us what again, where do you think we're going in the future? Where do you think how do we fix it if it can be fixed?
We need to use the Declaration of Independence. It gives us our out. We have multiple grievances, just like Thomas Jefferson lists all the grievances they have with the crown. We have plenty of grievances, and when I do things and point out things with Nixon and Reagan, and I point out all the different crimes our government's done, I'm actually having an evidence list. That's what I'm doing. To wake people up and educate people on that. So when they try to say that we're criminals or domestic terrorists or something, when we try to take them down, it doesn't even necessarily have to be necessarily violently. That's my goal. But when we take them down, then people understand, okay, this is what they've done, and this is what our rights are, and this is what we can do. And so that's why I have my Declaration of Independence playing before every episode, at the end of every episode. So when people are listening, it instills in their brain. And then, people will sit there and stay and listen to it even when the show's over. They'll stay there till the end, listen to it every single day. So I don't have it memorized still, but while it's playing, I'm like, behold these truths. And I'm like, this is reciting it with it. But without it, I might need help. But yeah, the Declaration of Independence is our way out. We have a government that is no longer representing the people. They gave us a way we are allowed to abolish it and redo it the way we want to. And so, honestly, I'm not going to say I'm an anarchist right now or anything like that. But honestly, it makes more sense if we were to use Declaration of Independence. The question is, what's the next step? And that it would make sense to go this direction instead of people try to fight over who's going to be in power, who's going to be the leader of this area, who's going to do this. Instead of that, we just take care of our own communities. It's going to be less of stress and fighting each other. And honestly, I think a lot of people tried this before, and the government just calls them cults. Like when people have their land and they're all operating together as a community, and I have chickens, I have cows, I have hay, I got all these different things, and y'all are trading your what y'all have value with each other. Then they say, oh, these people are cult members because they're not participating in our society. I think people already want that. People are already doing the off-grid things. You watch on YouTube, these off-grid videos have I watched one off-grid video, and it had almost 100 million views. People want something new. That people are done with the society. People are done with the cities. They're done with the government. And the fact that we have 77 million people who are qualified to vote for any office that don't vote. Mm-hmm. If you look up the reasons why, they don't like the Democrat Party, they don't like the Republican Party. None of the things they're talking about, those talking points they don't care about because those things don't really matter to them personally. And they've seen nothing change with either one of them. So I think that we have a bigger chance of doing this. People think that, it's going to take years, it's going to be hard. Guys, I think we could do this in 3 to 5 years. I think Joe Biden helped make this go a lot faster. A lot of people are pissed off and waking up. A lot of people are like, how are we supposed to survive? I feel like a slave when my taxes are this high, inflation is high like this. How can I afford it? And if you realize the price and all these things are changing is because of the government and not because, I guess, quote-unquote capitalism like they accuse it to be. It's the government. We don't have a capitalist government. We don't have a capitalism system here. We have a socialist system. The government is controlling the market.
Absolutely.
So when people say, "Oh, look how terrible capitalism is," like this isn't capitalism. The government shouldn't be controlling anything. They shouldn't be bailing anybody out. So
yeah, that's what when the 08 collapse happened, they're like, "This is what happens when capitalism." Like, the government bailed out the people who are the bad guys and made you keep paying your mortgage.
Right.
Like, no, listen. If they gave you a loan against the equity in your mortgage and that shit went belly up because you couldn't pay it, Well, they should have vetted their the people they were lending money to a little bit better.
Sure.
You know, like we all know we got that family member. They burn you like 3 times. That's it. 3 strikes, you're out. I'm not lending you any more money. You don't even get $5. No, go
For sure.
I had a friend one time come to me. He's like, yeah, man, look, he showed me like his bank account and everything, and he showed me all this stuff and everything, and I was like, why don't you sell that car? Like,
Yeah.
I can't. If I gave you $1,000 right now, it would change nothing.
Right.
It would be like Robert Barone. I don't know if y'all ever saw it. There was an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond where he's got all these problems. He can't pay his bills and everything. Ray and Deborah give him $1,000, so he goes to Vegas.
He was hoping to multiply it so you have more.
No, that's not it at all.
Yeah.
No,
Really?
His response was, "I'm always going to have all these problems, but when am I going to have an extra $1,000 to just go
Wow.
And that's the thing. Like,
Mentality
when you think
of
of it
poverty.
that way, it's like, damn, man. Like we really, it is really that stupid that like we are letting these banks basically do whatever they want. And that's if you want to get to the, and again, go back, read the Patriot Report by our one and only Hotep Jesus, Brian Sharp. He lays out how the money and how the banksters funding these conflicts and funding the assassination of this guy so that it can start this conflict, then they can go in and they can swoop in and they're investing in this new little pop-up democracy. And then boom, their bank blows up. Now all of a sudden, okay, I got some money. I can go shift over here. I'm gonna go shift some of that money over here. It's all about money and conflict and money and conflict. And what do? The alleged capitalist system. We fuck all of us, and we bail out the banks.
Yeah.
And our taxes pay for it, and inflation pays for it.
Can I add one more thing real quick? Or did Nicco said he would add something?
No, I was going to ask something referring back to 2008, but I'll let you go and then I'll ask.
Okay. So I did just say Texas is trash and it sucks. But I also want to figure out too if we could do it one state at a time as well. Because depending on the state and their constitution, they have the authority to do so. I have this picture, screenshot, saved in my favorites in my phone, so I like to read it all the time. In Texas, in the Texas State Constitution, it says, Section 2, inherent political power, Republican form of government. All political power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their benefit. The faith of the people of Texas stands pledged to the preservation of a Republican form of government, and subject to this limitation only. They have at all times the inalienable right to alter, reform, or abolish their government in such manner as they may think expedient. Not for sure what every other state's constitution says, but that's what Texas says. So that is a good state to be in if you want to take your state back. But Texas kind of has that kind of wording that the Declaration of Independence has in their state constitution.
Yeah, and we're good friends with Marcus Ruiz Evans, who is the founder and president. He might not be the president anymore, but he's one of the leaders of CalExit, which is the California secessionist movement. And he's done the paperwork. It's gonna take a state like either California or Texas to do it, because they're the only ones with a big enough economy to really make a go at it. You know, you might be able to get someplace like New Hampshire to be independent, but they're gonna need to still filter off the federal government for one reason or another, because their economy is just not big enough to really be self-sustaining right out of the gate. You know, they're going to still fall under a lot of control of the government. But Texas and California can say, affect yourself and be fine. So, I personally think that we're heading in that direction. I like the secessionist ideas. My hope is that we can give peace a chance, and the A in give peace a chance is an anarchy symbol, because we teach peace, we teach love, and we teach compassion. We teach voluntary cooperation amongst people, and so I'm hoping that California or Texas can, or whoever, can just break away and go have a little divorce. And so I'm hoping that can happen, because it's coming. Whether or not it's peaceful or not is the question. And
No.
I don't want to see a bloody civil war.
I was actually, when they were talking about that in Texas, I guess what they were looking at doing was just more so like independent from the federal government, where we don't get money and stuff from them
Right.
anymore. And then I was looking and watching things in Texas. I realized a lot of people are posers in Texas, and they pretend to that they're for people and things and organizations, but they're just using it to make money and to influence the elections. And so I don't trust the movement necessarily here. I'm not going to say the organizers, all of them are that, but I've seen where I'm not going to say the group name, because I am trying not to be like make enemies, but that's a group here particularly that is supposed to be grassroots, and they're not. And they've endorsed people on the left, and they've endorsed rhinos, and they claim that they're looking out for our liberties and freedoms, and they're really not. They're getting paychecks just like everybody else. So I think in Texas, like it could be possible, but it's so corrupt here. Yeah, it's super corrupt. I understand it's corrupt everywhere, but like this is like cartel Bush. This is Bush country. Like the people in Texas, the Republicans in Texas, helped the election get stolen from Trump. Like shit, I'm on YouTube. I did not say that. Just kidding. But they helped influence the election. Let me say that to go the way they wanted it to. Yeah. So yeah, I don't really trust. I think it has to be a pretty organic movement in Texas for something like that to happen.
Sure.
Nicco, what was your thing that you were going to say about 08?
Well, it was going to be back in 2008. What were all the big distractions that weren't iPhones? Because I'm fairly sure y'all had a whole bunch of books that told y'all how history went, granted his story and all that fun stuff, but you guys are still coming up with evidence of conflict, war. Guess what? The governments are starting this, and then the money is being fueled and funded. All y'all did was read books. How the hell are we over here? How are we in this position? Like, that's my biggest question is, how did the adults who actually took the time, Marcus and Chad, and I'm not blaming y'all, but like the adults of y'all,
Yeah,
take the time and just like, yeah, we're getting fucked, Jim Rock, like bamboozled and everything. Yeah, I see everything.
I mean, it was similar to what happened. I mean, so you had the same thing happen with 9/11, where the Patriot Act came out of that, and it's so funny too because they the same way that they do stuff like the Affordable Care Act with Obama, where it's like some bullshit nomenclature that like means the opposite of what it ends up being. The Patriot Act, same thing. Operation Enduring Freedom is what we did to Iraq and Afghanistan for 20 years. Like that's what they called it. Operation Enduring Freedom. Like think about that. We're going to steal a bunch of money from y'all. We're going to go blow up some people over there. And nothing's really going to happen except that we're going to like do this kind of changeover of now there's a different power structure over there. And we have a little more access to some shit that we didn't have access to as easily as we did before. That's all that happened. That was the enduring freedom. So like there's been this kind of stuff. And you go back, you know, I'm sure there's stuff with Vietnam and you know Korea, and you go back even further, World War II even. There's some fuck shit going on with all that too. Go back and look at what happened with the Lusitania. Go back and look at what happened before that with World War I. Like all of these things, like there's a lot of banking and like funding and all. We like this channel. We want to keep it. We'll stop there. Donnie, what you got going on tonight?
I have my podcast at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday. Tonight, we're going to be on the podcast, but we're also coming back onto Spaces, and we're talking about guns, weed, and free speech.
Nice.
Hey, let's go. All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
at 10:30. So if you're up late,
Yeah.
y'all can pop up there and have a good time.
I would love
But-
to. I got to go to work tomorrow, so I got to get to bed. But
I tried to pull up last night, and I was like, it was getting late, and I was like, I
saw.
I listened for a little bit, and I was like, all right, I gotta go to bed. I gotta bounce this.
Oh yeah, but we were talking last night. We were talking about the whole gay marriage thing. So
Yeah.
but honestly, guys, I think that in this country, if we resist and we take our country back, and we see other countries are against this whole world new world order, this whole world government they're trying to push, I think it can backfire. And I think it's kind of embarrassing the fact that America people haven't stood up and fought just like we've seen other people in other countries fighting against their tyrannical governments. We see them out in the streets for other reasons, but we don't see them out fighting for liberty like we see other countries doing.
Because Americans are bougie. Like, we're so spoiled over here. Like, think about it, though. If there were at least 5 or 6 states that looked like Flint, and they just had a whole bunch of communities like it, instead of just being one, or, for fuck's sake, the reality TV shows that we have, like the simple things that keep America subdued, that they don't really how do you get it? Overindulge in the bullshit that's necessarily pushed, because poorer countries can obviously see when their tyrannical government's really fucking with them. Americans, like, damn, I just saw that on the news. What's on Netflix? Like, is there any new movie? Like,
it's going to get worse too when they get this central bank digital currency thing going, where then it's going to be just, oh no, it's easier, it's more convenient this way. Now my Netflix just comes directly out of my bank account, and I don't even have to worry about it. I don't have to, set anything up. I just put in and then one day you tweet the wrong thing, and now not only is your Netflix disconnected, but your bank account don't exist anymore.
Oh yeah, your social credit score, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sure. Like,
can I send you like a personal letter? Will they catch that on camera, and then like my credit score will go down, or does it have to be via text? Like, how can I like scream or sign language to you and my credit down or something like that? How does that work?
Yeah, I don't know. It's
for sure.
But for real though, we're gonna have to start doing some code language, like
for sure.
1984 type shit, or Red Dawn.
Right, and I do want to say though that all of that said, I agree the American people need to get bigger balls for sure. All that's true, but at the exact same time, they tried to force the jab, and the American people said, "Go fuck yourself," and that worked.
Well, maybe not most.
Enough that they did. Enough that they backed down.
Yeah.
Again, it comes down to John Locke, who said, "There is nothing that brings people into a seditious commotion but oppression." And they're getting really, really close to oppression. And the closer they get, the more we're going to rebel. And I think that they made a huge mistake in what they've done the last few years. Yeah, it was on purpose, but they don't understand people. The problem with central power is that those people are insulated against the realities of the world. Decentralization is the only way that we can truly see where everybody's participating. So I'm actually relatively hopeful. I think that Joe Biden is doing what he's supposed to do, and that is give power to China because he wants to build China better. And he is, in my opinion, an agent working for that government, trying to destroy this one. And he's got
Russia, and to destroy us and Russia. Like, I think that's
for sure.
It's like you got this 3-pronged power,
right?
Kind of conglomerate or whatever.
Coming to a collision.
Yeah. But I'm trying to be understanding that we're up against time. Yeah. But I want to say, with people like you, Donnie, coming together with people like us, who maybe we don't agree on everything, but we agree on most things, they cannot stop us if we start getting everybody together and we start supporting one another and we start helping one another. There is not a power on the world that can hold us back, because we'll have God on our side.
And just knowing that there's so many people that like I've been like blown away to find all the different people and the great minds and all over the country and even in other countries that I'm like, oh shit. So wait, we're not alone. Like we got homies we can call on, like, like we can band together, and like if it comes down to it, we can start our own little, community or whatever, and just
Build
like
our own Megazord. Is that what you're saying?
what's
Chad?
that?
Build our
Megazord?
own Megazord?
Yeah, build a Megazord. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So Donnie, is there anything you want to plug? We have like your Twitter, your website, and
And the call in
yeah, down
link in
down
the
below.
description. Yeah.
Yeah, I think y'all got everything then. That's my main stuff. My website has my links to every other site I have on. So yeah, y'all did good. Thanks.
Yeah.
You're
This has
welcome.
been great. I would love to come back in the future.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from you guys.
Thank you.
I did watch a few of
Likewise.
your episodes before I came on here, so I did see how you
Same.
formulate things. But yeah, you guys, this was great, and I think we can do a lot of things together. I think it's intelligent for us to band together, and we have a better chance of winning that way. So.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We
And you're
appreciate
always
you,
welcome. Just reach out and let us know, and we'll get you back on here, have another hour, maybe 2 hours sometime. And
Okay.
and we'll pick your brain a little bit more because you're definitely one of those people we want to support. And if anybody hasn't checked her out, definitely subscribe to her on Twitter. It's worth your time. Go check out her podcast. I've checked out a few of her podcasts myself, enjoyed them thoroughly. And she's a bright lady who is a fighter, so she fits in real well right here.
And she takes you'll hear stuff from her that you won't hear anywhere else. Like that's one thing I really like to credit people when they do that sort of thing, because there's a lot of stuff there's like some copycat stuff where like everybody's kind of doing the same, like kind of grifting off of like the whatever's going on in the world, and there's like people trying to copy other people's swagger because they know that like it works. I really appreciate the fact that you like approach things in this very different way. Like you go in and you have audio clips from all these different things, and it's like it'll be some stuff where I'm like, man, I didn't even know like this is actually really good. Like I feel like I learned something, and it's not just people regurgitating the Twitter timeline from the last 3 days, you know, like because I think sometimes that can happen. So anyway, it's very very much needed, and I appreciate it. Yeah,
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
And
quick. I'm sorry I'm showing up late. And most of these two fine young gentlemen mostly did the talking, but
yeah, you did plenty.
all right. I did what is it? Catch and pick up on your I guess how do you compose yourself and how you frame the United States, and not that many people really sit down and think about how their life is being dictated and things of that nature, and how they can control it and move it around. So I appreciate you for your thoughts, your words of wisdom, and your crowd that you're leading into expression of freedom of thought.
yeah, for
I
sure.
appreciate you guys. Thank you. I can't wait to come
right.
back.
Y'all go
Awesome.
check out Donnie tonight on it's like Spotify and everywhere.
It's everywhere else but call in is what we're at live.
Yeah,
at
okay.
7:30.
Call in is live. Yeah,
Links
that's right.
down below.
Yeah.
On the Twitter bio. Oh yeah, there too. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, everything's
Nice.
down below. Yes, go check it out, and go to HotepCon next month, everybody. FBI, that's your code to use if you want 10% off.
Hey, how much
All
do
right.
I get off? I'll talk to you.
Say what?
He'll talk after.
Yeah, we'll talk after. All right, Donnie, get out of
All
here
right.
so you can go get ready for your show. Thank
Right
you so
on.
much.
Everybody needs to stay free.
That's right.
Stay free. Bye guys.
All
See
right.
ya.
Peace.
See ya.